and we're back to Sunless Sea. So, since we last left off, I practiced a lot of fighting. I fought some of the larger vessels around, some of the ones outside Khan's Shadow and the Khanate and stuff. Got a fair bit of loot, but also ended up costing a lot of money and a decent amount of hull damage, and that's after a repair too. So, probably wasn't worth it to do that, but in the meantime, I'm back at London here, and I have some port reports to turn in. So I managed to burn through a lot of funds, unfortunately. I'm trying to think about what to do next. There's an entire underwater area that remains to be explored. We've scarcely touched it. We visited, what, 2 ports, perhaps? Dahut, which had the cheap supplies and fuel. And I think that was it, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce terror by spending time with the family. I'll see if the scholar has supplies. They do. This guy still wants the literature and the bolts of linen, spider silk. That's about all I can really do here. I'm pretty low on money, so I'm going to go ahead and set out here. I think that I'm going to go to Low Barnet first as my initial underwater port to try to complete some stories from. If only because it's so close to London here. The underwater stuff is just so unsettling to me. Low Barnet, a sunken church with docking ports. Sediment has built up against the lower walls and long ago choked neglected crypts and crooked tombstones. The interior is sealed, yet the deep pearls of the tower's bell can be felt even through a submarine hull. A lot of things to do here. Let's explore the church. What goes on here? What brings its congregation together? Submarine services. There is no pulpit. The organ has bent, broken pipes. Below Barnet is still a house of worship of a sort. Groups of sailors gather in the aisles. The choir benches are clean and face a makeshift stage. Lantern-eyed fish pass behind colorful windows of stained glass. The door to the bell tower is guarded by 2 burly vergers. Their tridents are a nice touch. So that gave us a port report. Let's trade stories with the congregation. Your appearance and bearing attract attention. They are eager for new tales. At Low Barnet, everyday animosities are set aside in the pursuit of a fine tale. Caganian traders mingle with Royal Navy deserters, rum-addled pirates, and rubbery men. There is an air of anticipation and a tolerance of embellishment. So we don't have any of these other underwater cities that we've been to that we can speak of for now. Let's witness a contest of stories. The congregation is gathered before the altar. A sermon, but there seems to be 2 preachers. The competition is in progress. A voluble visitor tells of the Sideways Regiment, a plunderous legion of trained crabs. First, they present a mighty collective shell. Then comes the onslaught of 1,000 nippers. Why, I only escaped thanks to a timely cloud of ink from my squid, which I befriended for precisely such an occasion. The unlikely story wins the acclaim of the congregation. Whilst her rival slumps, disappointed, the visitor waves her top hat and processes to the bell tower. Its doors close behind her. Ask about the competition. What kind of contest is won by nonsensical lies about crabs? A regular listener, you approach an apprehensive seaman who is staring into the distance, perhaps imagining marching ranks of crustaceans. You ask what happened here. The competition? The best story wins. Captain says it's all in the delivery, but you need a fine yarn to spin too. When you inquire about the winner's reward, his gaze turns wistful. If they're lucky, they get taken up. Wish I had a story to tell. Let's follow her into the bell tower. What's in there? Wild riches or just a good buffet? Not on the list. The two surly vergers block your approach to the door. One points back at the congregation. Only winners allowed, he grunts. Next one soon. Let's go about our business. The congregation is breaking up for now. Chimes. A few souls linger, gazing at the closed doors of the bell tower. You have just turned away when you hear a sonorous bong of the bell within. Its peals repeat every few seconds before becoming abruptly muffled, then finally silent. An excited murmur runs through the congregation. Although you keep an eye on the bell tower door, the winner does not emerge. We can buy fuel for Tales of Terror, and we can buy supplies for Memories of Distant Shores. I believe that is the fuel ship, so there's no reason to head there. Why, hello there. What is that? Okay, we are damaging it, whatever it is. Was that a ship? No, you have defeated a beloved. A cloud of oily bubbles signal the beast's end. Its interminable refrain of moans and burbles and plaintive whistles finally dies away like a harmonium going down a drain. Dissect it for knowledge or fillet it for surprises. Or for supplies, rather. Well, that's a little bit unordinary, but whatever. Let's try it. Anything that puts up such a fuss must be edible. The fin, wait, no, the flank. Or wait, the liver. Oh, the eye, oh, salt. No fruit de mer, this, it's meat, there's no other word for it. Rosy, pink, and sweet, and tasting like the finest steak. No, like cream. No, like marbled honey. And suddenly it is all gone, and only the smell of abyssal brisket is left lingering on your plates, your fingers. We've gained a supply, our hunger that was building up there dropped, and we have an unprepossessing mass. An appalling glob of organic matter and dripping fluids retrieved from somewhere you'd rather not think about. And we lost some terror as well. Opening an unprepossessing mass. There is probably something horrible inside, but possibly there is not. Suitable for smoking. You can probably preserve this to eat at your leisure. Keep it against a hungrier day. All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. We've gained one supply. Well, they're not friendly. Did a shit ton of damage. Holy hell. This is the town with the Drownies. Drownies built a copy of London as it never was. We've been here before, I believe. Wander, look, make no commitments. You're only here as a visitor. You don't need a place to stay. Dahut, city of peace. Water and air are the same thing here, a betrayal of nature or a truce between opposites. Swim up the side of the cathedral if you like and peer in through its rose windows. You won't be able to make out anything inside. Breathe deep, fill your lungs with a substance cooler and more cleansing than ordinary air. Walk in the gardens with fish around your knees. Do not ask questions about the king of this place, those will go unanswered. Ask a Drownie for the latest news of Dahut. The town is thriving and full of events. Stormless, the weather has been dismal lately, hardly a single wreck since St. Aegeus' day. And then it was only a little yacht with a few sailors aboard, and 2 of those were able to swim to shore and didn't come to Dahut at all. We just have to hope for the spell to break. For some reason I can't, so I have a 0% chance to get a port report. The more you look, the more you see that you are perhaps not intended to. The cathedral's crypt is a prison, the graveyard is larger than it looks, and the bones are not buried. The border between the breathable water and the dangerous water is not marked clearly. Some have drowned in crossing over, leaving their possessions scattered on the Z-floor. Let's see, do I have anything that I can sell? I do have a captivating treasure and some pearls, but they apparently don't want them. I can sell parabola linen here for 66 echoes. That's pretty good. Let's see, where was I buying that at? I was sometimes getting it at the Iron Republic. Is this? Scrimshander. Entering Scrimshander, before you looms the bone tower of Scrimshander, the city of remembrance. Ivory structures jut from the pile, supported by buttressing tusks. As your light plays across them, you can make out inscriptions, names, pictures, and dozens of lost languages. The largest ones carry a warning. All are welcome to enter, but none may depart without leaving something of themselves behind. I mean, I kind of want to do it. Accept the price and dock. A Drownie floats before the docking gate of a bone cathedral. She wears a cowl and carries a ceremonial key carved from a femur. At your approach, she sings a solemn greeting. Soldier, scholar, servant of art, history welcomes without toll, but be warned, ere you depart, none who enter escape whole. Beware, you will have to pay a price to depart from Scrimshander. A cowed crew. The Guardian unlocks the ivory gates. Steel glints in her fingers as she carves an image of your ship into her massive bone key. Your brave crew decides to remain on the ship as you disembark for the tower's dry center. Tides of time and history of heroes' qualities are going up. You walk down a damp of nave bone. Intricately carved ivory walls depict improbable scenes from history. The walls are etched in tiny finger bones, each bearing a single name. Inhabitants wear ashen robes and carry steel-tipped bone quills, but you recognize most as Drownies or Shellanate expatriates. While most are quiet and ignore visitors, you hear heated arguments over interpretations of the sacred remains. Sacred remains which will include whatever you leave behind when you depart. We can deliver one of our passengers, the monastic Drownie. Your silent passenger is transfixed by the murals, eyes wide and mouth agape. His unrepeatable exclamation is the first word you've heard from him. A flood of words. Something within the monastic drowny has been unloosed at the sight of such sweeping histories. After such long time silent, he is eager to share his own smaller stories, and until he can earn his own bone quill, you are his captive audience. The coins he gives you are valuable, but not as much as the tales you tumble out of him. 50 Echo, and 5Z stories. Let's see, we can take note of a veiled woman, wander the halls, gather at the stage of history, delve into the ivory things as locked, compile a report, sure, consider it an ongoing history of the present. Few visitors, fewer departures. The inhabitants of Scrimshander spend much of their time preying on the mysteries of the past. They spend almost as much time arguing about their interpretations. Salted residents often collect nearby salvage, studying the results and inscribing their interpretations on any skeletal remains. But those who leave too often are easily recognized by what they have left behind in their travels, memories, personalities, and bones. Otherwise, they rarely consider the present, certainly not with the same focus they give to the histories buried within their tower. Recent world events are met with polite silence unless it prompts an anecdote about similarities with antiquity. Apart from old grudges and new theories, very little changes here. So let's take note of a veiled woman. A middle-aged woman in a veiled hat is staring at you, waiting for you to notice and listen to her. The imperious sister's tale. She pushes a sheaf of papers into an oversized case and bustles towards you. I've been all over Scrimshander, and I can find no sign of my brother's writing or any inscription about him, she says, which is strange, because I was most definitely assured he would come here. Meanwhile, I made certain promises of a pecuniary nature, which mean I am not at liberty to leave Scrimshander again for a few days. So I turn to you. Can you assist me? Are your services for hire? It is a matter of family loyalty, of the ties of blood. Sure. I need your help to be reconciled with my dear brother. Let's listen to her. She's very urgent to speak with you. She has a brother who is dear to her, a sensitive soul, very reserved. He used to work for the Admiralty. Something happened to distress him there. When I asked him about it, he said that I had enough to worry about with my own concerns. My husband was ill at the time, you see, but I could help him. If he would only permit me to know his troubles, for, you know, she puts a hand on her heart, bearing one's burdens is what makes us truly good. Bearing one another's burdens. She tells you that you'll need to go to Igel, the city of regrets, find her brother's regret, and return it to her. She will pay gladly. Alright, let's wander the halls here. The higher in the tower, the more recent the tales. Perhaps they can be useful. A familiar tale. The simple houses are built with bricks of ash and bone dust. Each bears a finely engraved story, from the mundane to the profane. Some bricks tell the same tales from different and contradictory sources. You spend a quiet hour reading at the side of a derelict house. A handful of its tales are suspiciously familiar. We've gained some fragments. Let's gather at the stage of history. Scholars file quietly into a pair of great ivory doors at the far end of the hallway. When they stumble out again, you can hear raised voices, arguments, and laughter. To the amphitheater. After the reverent silence of the outside, the boisterous noise of the amphitheater washes over you like the heavy sea beyond these walls. The stage of history. Actors strut in an amphitheater of bone, performing historical plays of a dubious veracity. An audience watches from below, with each roaring drunk member applauding or cheering different details of the work. Above, an imperious figure wearing a crown of ivory judges each performance from a raised theater box. All are served by a single man, weaving between the crowd and wearing a perpetual smirk. Let's talk with the glib historian. The mushroom wine he serves is stale. The plays he announces are questionable at best, but the impeccably bearded man with the olive skin laughs at every performance and has a smile for every patron. Warring theories on the stage of history. Some cheer history as the work of brave and inspired heroes, especially them who wish they could be the heroes themselves. The glib historian rolls his eyes theatrically. Others say it's all shaped by cyclical changes in scientific progress, economics, and such. But nothing gets in the way of a good story quite like nuance. He spits out the word like a rotten grape. We let him argue up on the stage and give an ivory crown to whoever's most convincing at the moment. He waves a hand at the temporary monarch in the raised seat above. But as far as I'm concerned, he confides, filling a patron's mug with cheap wine, history is what you make of it, and I make a killing. Let's see. Let's watch a fierce debate. Actually, nah, let's go ahead and agree to search the Ivory archives for a hero. The Chelinate's champions hope to regain their prestige by staging a heroic play. Assist in their research in the Ivory archives, and they'll give you a hero's reward. No shortage of heroes. They assure you that any hero will do as long as their deeds are suitably profound, ideally bloody, but the details are negotiable. You will need to trade coffee or wine for time in the archives in order to pursue this quest. Well, we don't have either, so let's leave the amphitheater then. And we can't delve into the archives without the time, so we need wine or coffee. So let's go ahead and leave. Departing. Were there quite this many guards when you came in? Was there always a pile of fresh bones by the entrance? No one may depart Scrimshander without leaving something of themselves behind by which to be remembered. Tradition demands it, as do the muscular guards at the gate. Their sharpened bone quills are at the ready to collect your donation. Provide transport for a scholar. A bandaged scholar stands near the exit, angrily brushing ash off himself. As you approach, he brusquely demands passage to Hideaway. Of course he'll pay. In search of history's losers, he studied remains of 100 wars and read 1,000 bitter ends. Now he seeks the survivors so he can interview them in person. He assures you it's a purely academic interest. His life has been splendid personally. He merely wishes to see how they live with themselves. The scholar of lost causes grumbles as he settles into his bunk, ready for the trip to Hideaway. So we can reduce our attributes, or we can leave some stories. Let's leave behind a Z story. You can always make more. A block of memories. You take a deep breath of bittersweet incense and recount your tales. As you speak, a chronicler carves your words onto bricks of ash and bone powder. The bone quills scratching grates, and the incense stings your eyes, but you continue. By the time you're finished, your head aches, and the chronicler holds a handful of bricks. Before returning to your ship, you examine one. It bears your name and a short tale. But it isn't a memory of yours. You'd remember anything that outlandish. Best you leave before they realize this mistake they've made. So we lost 5 C stories for that. Oh, I thought we only lose 1. Oh, that's okay. Let's see, fuel here is a decent price. Lamentable relics, mutter salt, and Stygian ivory. Okay, I'll go ahead and make sure that this saves. And I think for now, that is a good leaving off point.